Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the So I Heard podcast. If you guys are new to this, I'm KD. Hopefully you guys are having a good one. Now, this episode is going to be a solo episode. Cheryl's not going to be on this one with me, but it's all good. We're still going to get into a good topic. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the podcast so far. I've really been enjoying making it. I mean, I've said that in the past couple of podcasts, and I really just think about it, throughout the week. Like, I'm really sticking to it. I'm keeping this thing going, and I don't plan on stopping, First, I want to say, there was a post that I did, recently on Instagram, and I was basically talking about the pros and cons kind of social media, right? The post, let me see, let me actually never mind. I'm not going to get my phone. My phone is too far. But anyway, I basically was saying we get on social media and we love social media and we love to get on there and look at the jokes and, things make us laugh. And that's definitely a positive. You know what I mean? Some of these jokes brighten our days and, just make life a little bit easier. You get to communicate with people that you don't get to see often. And that's always a good thing, anything that makes you happy or makes life a little bit easier. That's one pro for, social media and the internet. But at the same time, there is so much negative stuff that happens. I mean, and I guess you can't really blame social media because even if social media wasn't around, these negative things still would be happening. But at the end of the day, you have more access to this information. And that's also not a bad thing, having access to this information. There's nothing wrong with gaining information and knowing more things and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, sometimes through social media, there's so much negativity that is posted. And yeah, it sucks, man. You know what I mean? Like, there was a death of a little boy. I think he died today or yesterday. And he was the boy that was viral. I can't even think of his name right now. But he had like a viral video that was like, where we about to eat at. And he had this type of sickness where there's something, it was an immune issue that was in his intestines. And, basically he just got sick a lot, and I didn't follow his mom through social media. She was the one, it was pretty much, it was his page, but, she was the one that was recording him and everything. And I didn't follow them, but I would see his videos posted and everything. And then there was a point where everything was looking up for him, right? So me and also other people also thought that, things were going good for him. But, the sickness ended up winning. I don't want to say winning, but the sickness was too much and he passed. And that was something that was so sad. And I was just like, dude, I don't have kids, but as a parent, I know you don't want to have to bury your kids or anything like that. You just want to see the best for your kids. And at the end of the day, he was a little kid, there was so much that could have went on in his life, so much that could have happened in the future for him. And it was just a sad thing. And not only that, but, we have the rapper Young Dolph that also was gunned down in the community that he was from. And just sad, it happened with other, celebrities, rappers, whatever. One that was the main one. I'm from Los Angeles. So one of the main ones was Nipsey Hussle. And he was killed, being at a shop that he had and also being in a community that he helped so much. And, there was just other news of other negative stuff that went on in the world. And it's just, it's crazy. We talked about it on a couple of episodes back, about how crazy it is, like how crazy people are these days, and they're just out here just killing. And it's like I talk about it sometimes with the conversations I have with like Cheryl or something, and we talk about how these people in that moment feel like it is justified, or they feel like they're making the right move or something. And it's like, dude, you're really throwing your life away. And maybe in that moment they don't really care, but at the end of the day, most of the time when these people end up getting caught, then it's like a different story. Reality really sets in, and then now you have them, in court crying and wondering what's going on, why is their life over with? And it's like, dude, you're out here doing crazy stuff. And it's I don't know, man. I wish people could really think a little bit different, and I'm not saying like I haven't had my temper issues in the past, or who hasn't, you know what I mean? Who hasn't had those moments where, they can't control emotions and they're angry or whatever. Everybody gets to that point, but to get to that point when you're really going out here and you're just killing these people, and even if you have an issue with these people, it's like, dude, just don't deal with them. You know what I mean? Just leave them alone, distance yourself from them. But it's just people out here just, they're doing it for so many different reasons, and that negativity, it sucks, man. And it sucks to constantly wake up and open social media, then you're hearing about all of these tragedies, and it's just like, man, you wish it could stop, but let's be honest, you know what I mean? People are going through so much. You have to even think about that with the people that are committing these crimes. You don't know what's going on in their heads. You don't know what's going on in their minds. They're not thinking straight. And it's like, damn, dude, that's why you can't say that it's going to end. You can compare it to racism. Like, racism isn't going to end. And one reason is because everybody is thinking differently. We can set people into groups and be like, here's the people that are murderers and the people that aren't murderers. And at the end of the day, you have so much stuff that's going on in the world. Some of these people are just snapping randomly. And I don't know, you just go out and you hope that you're going to have a great day. Anything can happen. Some people don't even try to kill these people. You might end up being in a car accident and somebody dies, but still you want everybody to be thinking straight, and you just really want the best to be out there in the world. But you have to step into reality and realize that everything isn't going to be great. Now, this isn't what the topic of this episode is going to be about. It's just something I wanted to talk about because that's something that I was really thinking about earlier today. And I was really like, dude, like, you want things to be way better than what they are. It's so funny because I watch these sci-fi movies, right? And they always have these sci-fi movies where like the aliens come from outer space and we fear the aliens, and we're looking at the aliens like, oh my God, they're going to take over Earth. And then somebody talks to the aliens and they ask the aliens, why are you here? Are you guys here to just take over and enslave us? And the aliens are like, no, we're here to take over because you guys are killing each other. We don't want you guys to do this. You know what I mean? And that's been the reason in a couple of, sci-fi movies. And it's crazy that, I don't know, man. Like I said, it's like a fantasy to believe that all of this negativity would just stop. It's so hard to really sit there and think about a world where that wouldn't happen. Killings have been going on since man has been on this earth, and not even just man. You have animals, but normally when animals are doing it, it's either to defend themselves or to simply get food, But we have people out here that are so caught up in their emotions to the point where, they're just out here just doing all of this crazy, wild stuff. And, a lot of times it doesn't make sense. And like I said, we all have our tempers. We all have our points where we feel like, we just can't control ourselves, or the anger just gets us to a point and it's like, yo, separate yourself from whatever the situation is. Distance yourself. If you got to be by yourself until you cool down. That's the best advice I can really give, you know. But yeah, like I said, this episode isn't about that. It's just it was really on my mind today. I was at work earlier and I was really thinking about it, and I even posted, something that they posted about the kid, and I made that post talking about, how sometimes social media can seem so negative, and it's true. Um, and like I said, it's just information that's being passed through social media, but you hate to see it sometimes, you know. But anyway, this episode is going to be about if you were able to talk to yourself in the past. And it was funny because I wrote this topic down, I think earlier today or yesterday. And it was funny, I was on the phone with Cheryl and I didn't tell her about this topic at all. But then she came up and said the same exact thing that I wrote down. And then she was like, you know what? We are meant to be together. Like, we really, this happens sometimes where I'll think about something or she'll think about something. And like, it's like we're thinking about it at the same time. But yeah, so I really wanted her to be on this episode because I think there are certain things that she probably would have told herself in the past, or, just anything. It's always good to have another perspective when talking about something like this. So it's basically, if you could talk to your past self, your younger self, some things that maybe you would want to change. They have the question, if you can go into the past, would you change things up? I did a poll on Instagram not too long ago, and I was basically asking people in the poll, if you can go back to a certain age, what would it be? And I think the age was like, they only let you, put two choices. So I chose 7 or 21, and the majority of people chose 21. But then there's some people that might want to go back to a younger age because they might want to redo certain stuff from that younger age and then just come back, to live life from that younger age. But yeah, I just feel like really for me, if I can go back to myself, I think I would go back to myself as a teenager, right? And mainly I would say I would go back to myself in high school. And I'm not saying I was making like bad decisions in high school. Like I wasn't that kid that was getting drunk or doing drugs. Like none of that stuff I did as a high schooler. Like I'm gonna be honest, I know so many people that have experimented with stuff in high school and, all kind of different stuff. And I'm not faulting them or, talking crap about them, but I'm just saying everything happens, at different times for people. So for me, honestly, I think one thing I would say is to maybe be more disciplined and maybe more focused. And this is something that I feel like I even still need to deal with today. There's times where I can be very distracted and, derailed or whatever. And I think that's something I needed to focus more on as a teenager. Now, one thing for me that I have really had my mind on growing up is experiences, right? You can take somebody that does everything by the book and you can look at them and be like, okay, that person's going to be successful in this way, right? And then you can take somebody that goes and they're kind of just more free spirited and just wanting to experience the world. And you're like, what are you going to be doing? Like, where is life going to head for you? Or you're going to be like, okay, so it seems like you kind of don't know what path to go down or whatever. And I feel like that's something for a lot of people. But getting older and going through like my 20s and, even as a teenager, I looked at some people that even those people that were very, very focused at that younger age, they're in the world now and they're lost in so many different ways. And it's like people would look at them back then, or even look at what they've accomplished at an earlier age, and they look at them and they're like, damn, like I would have thought things would have been different for you. And that just shows that through life, you go through so much. You go through so many trials and tribulations and these obstacles. And, you still have to find your way. You still have to, kind of build your own path through life. And that's what I feel life really is. You're never at an age where you just know everything. Nobody is perfect. You can always better yourself. You can always become smarter. You're always having room to grow. Now, you can be somebody that could be the top of your class at one of the best universities in the world. Now, you might be very, very book smart, but when it comes to other things, you probably lack somewhere. So I personally feel like in life, the best thing for you to do is try to become the best well-rounded person that you can be. And that's something that I feel like I really started to focus on a little bit more, maybe like from my mid-20s or something, because I feel like there was a lot of things that I was interested in when I was younger, and some of those things I kind of fell back from and kind of found my way back to some things also. But at the same time, I've always enjoyed building these experiences for myself. I've always enjoyed doing things in my own way. And yeah, has it hurt me in certain ways? Yes, because I could take the guidance from somebody who has lived past these ages and, just listen and learn from them. But at the same time, I always constantly think like, this is my life, this is my life. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot that I regret. And honestly, I don't even really feel like there is regret. I mean, there's some stuff that you feel like you could have done a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, for me, I personally feel like things happen for a reason, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm that person that believes you're constantly given chances. You are given multiple chances sometimes you're not. Sometimes that opportunity passes and it never comes back. But there is always times for you to be able to prove yourself to become a better person. And that's something that I feel like I believe so much. Some people feel like they're defeated once this one opportunity is passed. Some people feel defeated when they didn't accomplish a certain thing, so they totally give up. There's times where I'm feeling tired and I'm like, yo, man, I gotta record this podcast episode. And it would be so easy for me to just be like, yo, I can easily come up with an excuse and just be like, hey, I'll catch y'all later. One of the people that I really watch so much or listen to is Hines. And if you go and look up Hines on YouTube, it's HINDZ. And he has a great channel. His channel is basically like motivation and all that different type of stuff. But Hines is someone that has been so consistent. And he's been doing YouTube for years. But I recently, this year, started watching Hines and, listening to his podcast on Apple Podcasts and everything like that. But at the same time, he kind of took a break. There was a point where Hines wasn't really posting this podcast stuff. And it was just in the past week or couple of weeks or whatever. He said in one podcast episode, he feels like sometimes you do have to step back and reset and then come back and be better. And I believe that. But at the end of the day, I feel like I can keep pushing out these podcast episodes, keep giving this content, and hopefully this content does reach somebody and they feel it. You know what I mean? I don't feel to the point where I need to step back from it. But then you have some people, like I said, that do feel like they have to. And if you really, really feel that, step back. Don't be stressed out over these things. But it's different for different people. Even though I'm saying that I really admire this guy and everything, and me personally feeling a little bit different right now, feeling like, no, I don't want to step back. And this is somebody I really take advice from. I listen to his stuff, and when I listen to his stuff, I don't want anything else to be distracting me while I'm listening to the message that he's giving out. The positivity that he gives is so great. I just want to be in that moment and capture everything, soak it all in. Now, I guess I can say I kind of disagree with what he said just because, like I said, this is how I personally feel at this moment. Just like there's going to be people that are in his comments or viewers or listeners that are on his side that are saying, yo, I really do need to step back. I think the proud thing for me is that I've been keeping this going. And I think I've pretty much been happy with every single episode that I have put out of this podcast. So I don't want to slow down, you know. But there is moments where I'm really like, yo, man, like it's getting late, you know. I just want to come home, relax, chill, eat some food, watch something that I want to watch, and then just relax. You know, sometimes that's just how you feel. I have the same issue sometimes when it comes to my YouTube channel. I'm not posting videos all the time. And a lot of times it is because it's a little hard to come up with content, you know. It's not like I have a whole bunch of people around that can be in my videos and really add to the experience of these videos. And there's sometimes where I'm like, yo, I could just really record whatever. And there was a point where I was really like, damn, I need to just record anything, like just try to put out any video. But at the end of the day, I am a creator. And if you guys listen to any creators normally don't like to do that. This is stuff that we're putting out. This is stuff that we really hold close to us. So we don't just want to put out any type of content. Now, I understand that's bad because that really is just messing up like productivity and just constantly getting videos out. But at the end of the day, you know, I want to be happy with what I'm putting out there. Me being so happy with this podcast and recording everything and getting these thoughts out here, or having the podcast episodes with Cheryl. And then, you know, we're really talking about so many different things. It's so amazing to me. It's so, you know, I don't know, man, therapeutic. I think I said that in another episode. It's good to get those thoughts out there and to voice these opinions. Dude, right now I'm recording this podcast in my room. If anybody was watching me or something, they'd be like, yo, he's just in there talking to himself. But every time I'm talking and doing these podcast episodes, I have to really visualize it. I don't know what the hell I was about to say, but I really have to visualize it like I'm really talking to you guys. And it's something that I just want to keep pushing at, putting out episodes more and more and more and more. Some episodes are going to resonate with more people. Some people aren't going to be, you know, feeling a certain episode or whatever. And it's fine. You can go check out other episodes that you might be feeling a little bit more. But this is something that is my experience as well. You guys are experiencing it, and you might like it. But at the same time, this is something that I'm putting out. And I'm like, yo, this is something that I built. This is something that I'm really doing. And this goes back to me building my own experiences in life. Me building my own path in life, me navigating through what I want to do, how I want to do it, my time, you know. And I'm not saying be that person that's just so lazy, like, oh, I just feel like it's not my time. I'm going to start later. No. If you really want to do it, you have to become productive. You have to get this stuff out there. And I get it. You can be discouraged and all of that. I don't know why I have to burp so much. Like I mean, I guess because I drank water right before or something. But yeah, like anyway, I just keep feeling like I have to burp. But yeah, I just really want to get all of this stuff going, and it goes back to being a teenager, right? I remember being a teenager in high school and me just feeling not motivated by school, you know. I remember questioning math so much. And what's crazy was I was always good at math. But then when we got to math that I really felt like people don't use in real life, I lost interest. I really did. And still to this day, if we go out to a restaurant, we don't even need to have the percentages calculated already on a receipt. I don't have to pull out I don't have to pull out a calculator. I can pretty much come up with it in my head. I'm cool with math. I'm cool with any math that people use on a day-to-day basis. But I got to the point where I was just like, dude, who uses this? Or you even get to the point where you're a kid and you ask your parent for help with the math problem and you see them struggling. But then you look at them, you're like, yo, they have a cool job. Like, what the fuck? And you start to think about that. I've always been somebody that observes stuff. I've always been like that my whole life, even as a little kid. So getting into high school and looking at adults and being like, yo, y'all don't use math like that in your life. What the fuck do we need to do this for? Same thing like when I was a kid and I was younger. I remember being in elementary, and this was a point where I was pretty much just getting nothing but A's and B's. And I remember the first time I ever got my C. It was in the 5th grade. I got my first C, and it was in the history section or social studies section of school, right? And I remember I was like, oh my God, I was panicking. I was like, I got my first C. Like, I'm tripping. Like, I've always had A's and B's, right? And it was killing me back then. I was a 5th grader stressing over a C. And I remember I told my mom, I was like, why do we need to learn about people that are dead? Like people that are gone already, like their time already passed. Shouldn't we be focusing more and more on the future? And I remember thinking that. And then here I go as an adult, and I'm so into history. I'm constantly looking up stuff. I'm reading about history, so many things. There are times when I enter conversations with people and they're talking about certain stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, because of this, this, and this. And it's always something that has to do with history. Before I even cut on this podcast, I was watching videos about Freddie Mercury, the singer for the band Queen. I just wanted to gain more knowledge on Freddie Mercury. I love Queen's music. I never really read anything or really got into knowing about Freddie Mercury's life. So that's what I was doing before I even started recording this podcast episode. It's so many things that I'm just interested in, but I'm doing all of these things on my own time. Back then, I wasn't interested, and I'm like, you guys are forcing us to learn this crap? No. Same thing when I enter conversations with other people that have, did higher learning than I have. They went to colleges, like universities and stuff, graduated and everything. And then I get into conversations with these people, and I'm not trying to be cocky or toot my own horn, but I get into some of these conversations and it's like, bro, I seem like I know more than you do. And I look at those people and it's like, they seem like they don't really try to learn anything else. And I'm sure you're learning every single day, obviously, but they're not reading. I've been asked in the past, right? I listen to audiobooks. I get audiobooks on different things that I'm interested in. It can be something that I really want to know about a little bit more. I had an Audible account, and Audible, you get these credits where you can end up getting these books for free or whatever. And I have so many books, and there's books that is of just different stuff. If you look at my library of my audiobooks, it's just all over the place of different stuff, right? This stuff I want to know about. And I remember I was listening to an audiobook. Somebody was like, why are you doing that? And I'm thinking like, they're like, yo, why don't you just physically read the book? And they were really like, why are you doing that? Like, and they acted like I was just crazy for trying to gain more knowledge. And it was just like, what? Like, there's nothing wrong with doing this. I feel like most of the knowledge that I have really gained as an adult is because I have taken the time to do it myself. I remember when I first started college after high school and I was taking my college classes. And at that time, I wanted to get into graphic arts. And it was crazy because the class was just so damn boring. And I was just like so bored. I think I stopped taking that class. And it was like, dude, I taught myself how to do a lot of stuff. I taught myself how to do graphics on computers. I taught myself how to use Photoshop and all this other different stuff. And then, of course, YouTube came around and I really started looking into how to do specific things. Another thing, building computers. I've built 2 computers. I only know a handful of people that know how to do that personally. I'm sure there's a lot of people that I follow online that know how to do it or whatever. But the fact that I know how to do it, and it's not really that hard. It's not. You're just putting things together, plug and play with a whole bunch of stuff. You have to take the time to learn this stuff. So this is the difference, though. Back then, I would have told my high school self to basically focus more on school. Reason being is because when you're trying to get hired places or you're trying to go to certain places, you have to be able to show that. Now, I can get into a conversation with somebody and they'll be like, oh my God, he does seem qualified for this. But at the end of the day, you have to show those credentials. Now, I'm not sitting here feeling like, yo, I'm just this failure. Not at all. But that's something that I honestly feel like I would have taken a little bit more seriously. And not only with that, being younger and dealing with relationships. So many things I could have done differently. This part, I'm going to tell you right now, this part might seem a little fucked up. And the reason it might seem fucked up is because some things I feel I didn't need to change or I wouldn't need to change. But at the same time, okay, so I've spoken about how I used to cheat in relationships back in the day. And I pretty much did it all through my 20s, right? No, maybe not all through my 20s. Like when I got to like my mid 20s, that's when it's like I cut it off, Basically, to put it this way, like, dude, I think, damn, I'm just turned 33 in September. I think since 2014, I probably have only had sex with 2 people. The person I was previously in a relationship with and the person that I'm in a relationship with right now. That was a big change for me. That was a huge change for me. And the reason it was such a huge change for me is because I went from doing all of this negative stuff in relationships before to being like, yo, I need to quit it. But I felt like I had to go through those experiences first to really feel like I need to be this better person. And that's another reason why I feel like it's hard to really talk about regrets. Now, I hurt people along the way. And that's the main thing I think or I wish I could have taken back is what happened to the other people, how I made the other people feel. Now, in some cases, of course, like most of the time, I don't have anybody in the world that hates me. I don't have beef like that, you know. I've been cool with a lot of people that, you know, I used to talk to or whatever. Most of the people, we don't have hard feelings. We're not going around bashing each other, and no. So that's one positive thing. But at the end of the day, for the people that I did hurt, I didn't want it to be that way. I told you guys before in past episodes, like I would cheat, come out of another girl's house, sit in a car, and just sit in the car for minutes without even starting the car, bruh. And I'm sitting in the car and I would say this out loud. What am I doing? I would say that so many times. And then I would look at my phone. The girl I'm actually with, she sends me an I love you text. But I just came out of this other girl's house. Fucked up stuff, man. And the only thing I can really say is it was my mind and me being selfish and me just going for all of these opportunities. And I could sit there and come up with a whole bunch of excuses and all this different stuff. But honestly, that's just what it is. I was taking advantage of these opportunities. I wasn't thinking, oh, I was going to get caught. And to be honest, in those past relationships, dude, the girls almost never knew about any of this. Yeah, they might have found out about one situation. They didn't know about the other ones. They might have thought, oh, yeah, he messed with that one girl. No. And I don't know if, you know, we know some mutual people and maybe people pass around the podcast. I don't know if they're listening. But it's the truth. Back in the day, I was wild, bro. That's something that, yeah, I wish I could change. And I remember, dude, when I got into those situations where, you know, I got caught up or whatever, and then that question comes, why? Why would you do this? And my answer was always, I don't know. And I felt like shit in those moments, but at the same time, I was just like, it is what it is. Like it already happened. There was a point where I really just felt like, yo, I can't stop. I remember the first time where I really wanted to try to stop. And I think it was like me and this girl had taken a break. And during that break, it was like 3 months or something, right? And during that 3 months, I made it 3 months and I wasn't like messing with no chick. I wasn't messing with no chick at all. 3 months. And I was happy. I was like, yo, I made it 3 months. Like, man, like this is the longest, you know? And then of course, you know, we start talking back again and then, you know, that was that. But I still went back. Still started cheating again. It sucked. And another part of this conversation is what made you change? That's the other question. And dealing with cheating and stuff, what really made me change was like, and I can't even say I was old. I was in my mid-20s when I stopped cheating. What made me change was like, there's no use in getting into another relationship if I'm going to be doing the same thing. And I literally told myself that. I told myself that in 2014. And I remember I was like, kind of like cool with these. I was kind of, you know, messing with these two girls. And then once I started talking back to my ex, once we started even hanging out, we weren't even, we weren't together or anything. But once we started hanging out, I basically told the other two girls, like, yo, we can't chill no more. We can't do none of this no more. And I wasn't even in a relationship. I just knew where it was going to lead with my ex. So I just told the other girls, like, yo, we can't do this. And I did that 2 months before I even got into a relationship. And I was just like, yo, I can't be messing up during this time. If I'm serious about making this change, I literally have to cut this off right now. And that's what it was. And was it hard? In a way, a little bit, you know what I mean? Here's the thing, right? Okay. This is where I think it all came from. Me being a high schooler, I was cool with everybody, but I wasn't the kid in high school trying to be the man. I wasn't the dude in high school that was around here being thirsty or really thinking about trying to date girls or do this, and this. It was just kind of like a lot of this stuff just kind of happened. I'm chilling with you. This happened. Here we go with the burping again. But there was a point where I wasn't really, I mean, I guess I've always been cool with girls, always. Even in elementary school, cool with girls. I wasn't that boy where they were just like, ugh. I was always cool with girls. I've always been friends with a lot of girls. Elementary, middle school, high school. The only difference with high school is social media was around. So I started getting to know girls outside of my school a little bit more. And then I wasn't really hanging out with girls at my school, but still, like, I socialized with the girls that were at my school and everything. So of course the attention was a little bit different in high school. In high school, I started getting more and more attention. And then that's when stuff really started. And that's when, like, I know you guys have heard the saying, like, where parents like, man, get your mind on the books and off the girls. And I know it was said in some movie. I don't know what movie. I can't remember what movie, but it was to the point where it was like, oh, I like this. I like this feeling. And I believe that's where me taking advantage of those opportunities came from. And I think it's a common thing, honestly. Once you get to a point where you're really starting to get more attention, I was in high school. I was more, I was slimmer. I was, exercising and stuff, doing my sit-ups every night and everything. Social media came. You're posting like your best pictures on social media. A lot of girls that I went to school with, I didn't hang out with them. I didn't go to parties that my school, classmates would have. I would normally go to parties, of other schools or stuff like that. So once people from my school started seeing, oh, you're like that outside of school. And I wasn't like crazy or wild or nothing like that. It was just like I was different. And they were like, yo, why we never talked and all this different stuff. And one thing that became so weird after high school was a lot of people that I never really socialized with all through high school. We became friends. They're inviting me to parties. They're asking me to go places. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, we barely spoke in high school, And it was because people were seeing that other side of me being more open, I guess. I mean, we never really had conversations in person like that. But, people add you on social media. They see different stuff, different sides of you. And again, the attention was coming. It was just attention. And like I said, I'm getting to know way more girls, more and more and more and more. I'm going out with them. You get to the age and you start having drinks and just a whole bunch of stuff, partying with them or whatever. And I think that's what really led to it. And then that just led to all of these opportunities. And I was just taking these opportunities. I'm messing with her, you know, and it was really, it was different, man. In making that change, I really had to step back from stuff. One thing, and I'm not trying to blame them, my friends always wanted to go out. My friends knew that I knew girls. They would ask me, hey, like, who can we hang out with tonight? And they have friends too. I'm not saying like I was the only dude with homegirls, but still, you know. So then that question would come, and I hit up some girls, and you know they want to chill, or they got some friends also, or whatever. Or, you know, we used to call it hitting a mission back then. And be like, hey, this girl want to chill. Hey, her homegirl with her, or it's this party. You know, you hit that mission. You go out there. You know, stuff get popping. I was just living for those experiences. It was so many experiences, dude. It's so much that was going on in my life in my 20s. People would look at who they knew that I knew. And then there's some people that didn't know that I knew, a whole different group of people. They didn't know. I was never the guy that was out here just promoting everything. To be honest, dude, even still today, I'm kind of secretive. I don't say everything. I remember back then, and I think I said it in another podcast episode before, I'm not sure, but my friends, I would be chilling with my friends. We might go to a party or something, and then that ends by like 1, and they're ready to go home. I'll drop them off at home. Then I hit up my other friends. I knew some people that were a little bit older. I would hit them up. Oh, they're at a party that's lasting until like 4 or 5 in the morning. I hit them up. What you doing? Oh, we at this party. Come through. Go to that party. Get stupid faded. Go home with a chick. Something. And that was life for me. And that was at the point where, of course, like most of my 20s, I was in a relationship. Dude, my main chick, she sleep. She knocked the hell out. She been sleep. You know? And I'm at this party until like 4 in the morning, bruh. Doing all the kind of crazy stuff. I had this homegirl. Red. Dude, it seemed like Red knew everybody. I remember I've never been the guy that likes to go to strip clubs. I'm not that guy like, yo, let's go to a strip club. No, I was never that guy. I always felt it was stupid. Like, why am I wasting money just to see you dance? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I remember one night Red hit me up like, yo, what you doing? And I was just chilling at the house. I remember I was in like some sweatpants, looked like I was ready to go to bed. I changed my clothes quick. Met up with Red. Red want to go to strip club. We get there. It's like she knows every stripper in there, but Red's not a stripper. And I was just looking like, how do you know all of them? Strip club closed. We still in there chilling with the strippers, bro. We in there cracking jokes, chilling, having drinks. I'm like, what? It was a different experience. All of this to say, my life has always been about living for these experiences. If I were to sit there and tell people that I knew a lot of this stuff, like people I was hanging out with at that time about all of this stuff, and I've told a couple of people, but like a lot of people didn't know. And that's not even like the craziest stuff. But still, I was never that person that was out there, you know, trying drugs and all kind of crazy shit like that. I ain't never even popped a pill in my life. Always been scared to do it. There was a lot of things in my life that I'm proud of that I never let myself get consumed in. I think the craziest thing for me was just like there was a point in my life where it was just like, man, and I'm gonna feel bad about saying this because Cheryl listened to my podcast, Mom, you listen to my podcast, whoever else. There was a point in my life where everything was just sexually related, bro. I promise you, it was just wild. I I was doing it. You know what I mean? It was to the point where if I told somebody I had something to do that day, they immediately thought I was about to go mess with a chick. It was never, they thought it was going to be anything else. And I was never the one that would talk about the stuff. Like I would never, what do they call it? Pillow talk. I would never really say stuff about, talking about whoever I'm messing with or whatever girl I'm talking to or whatever. Unless it was like something serious. But other than that, normally I didn't really give information. I wasn't that guy bragging about it. So then he'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm about to just chill. Oh, you got somebody coming through? Oh, you about to go somewhere? You about to go mess with somebody? And it was just always that, And yeah, man, I don't know, man. And I just chalk it up to how I was getting that different attention and getting the attention from so many people. It was just wild. So that's what really made me change my life. And I feel like I talked about that part for so long, but that was something that really changed my life because I was like, yo, I have to stop this. And it's crazy because I remember this one ex of mine said, she was older than me, and she said, maybe you're just not at the age where you really want to be serious. And I didn't really think about that. You know what I mean? Of course, I was like, yo, I still, feel for you. Like, I still care about you and everything. But I never really sat there and was like, yo, maybe I am not at that age where I really want to be in something serious. I'm putting the experiences above everything else. I'm putting myself above everything else. And that's the main thing. When you make that change, you have to really think about it. It's not just you, me being older and being able to admit it and say like, yo, I fucked up, and being able to say, I don't want to hurt the people that are close to me. Back in the days, like, yo, I can make more friends. I can get another relationship. I can get more chicks. Yeah, I still cared about you way more than whoever else. But at the end of the day, it was like, yo, the experiences were everything. So if I went back to my teenage self, honestly, I don't know, man. I really don't know, because I feel like I'd be bullshitting if I said that I did not love all of those experiences. And if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be how I am today. I know people that didn't do all that when they were younger, and they're probably chasing that now at an older age. And I don't want to be at an older age doing all of the stuff that I did when I was younger. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to say that I would have really made those changes. But like I said, the main thing is I just didn't want to hurt those people, or I wish it just never got to the point where they got hurt. So when it comes to talking to my younger self, it's mainly me talking about being a high schooler and trying to focus more in school. And then from, I guess, high school to 20s, trying to, I don't know what that is, but anyway, trying to be more, I guess, aware of how I'm treating people, and tone down the experiences a little bit, because, man, I remember there was a point where I was talking to some people and, about certain stuff. And it was just like, yo, you can low key write a book. And you could take that as a positive thing, but low key, like you got to look at it sometimes and be like, yo, maybe that ain't a good thing when somebody tells you you should write a book. You know what I mean? And like I said, it wasn't like crazy stuff like we out here having shootouts or I'm overdosing on drugs. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just wild. It was something that was capturing me so much. It was just like, yo, that attention was my drug. That attention was everything, And of course, being older and being happy that I made those choices. And that's something that honestly I'm so proud of these days. Being a person that's different. Even before getting into this relationship, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to go on dates. I didn't really want to get close to anybody. I was avoiding it. And the first person I went out with after all that time is a girl that I'm in a relationship with, Cheryl. I hadn't been on a date with anybody. I haven't messed with anybody. And at that moment, I was like, all right, this is that time. We got closer. I was like, all right, I'm feeling this. I was like, I want this. You know what I mean? I'm ready. I'm not going to make those same mistakes that I was making back in the day. I'm not about to be that dude creeping out in the middle of the night, going to go chill with such. No, I'm done with it. And that's why I look at those, those statements that are like, once a cheater, always a cheater. And my answer is always like, yeah, because it's your personal history. Like, yeah, once you did it, like, it's a part of your life forever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean you're always going to be making those same mistakes. People can change, man. And those changes had to be made. And it's not just about going back and talking to your younger self. You could talk to yourself from like a month ago. Being a better person is always the next move. And that's always what I think about in life. How to get better with everything. Everybody still makes mistakes, no matter what age you are. You have to learn from those mistakes. And truth be told, there are people that end up dying and never learning those mistakes. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the best person that you can be. Even if it's not for other people. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the motivation for you to be a better person is somebody else. But mainly, do it for yourself. When I was cheating back in the day, I knew I was doing wrong. I know my rights from wrong. I couldn't stop. I couldn't. Or maybe I could have, but maybe I didn't want to. I wasn't in that mind space or mindset to really just be like, yo, I'm done. But getting into my mid-20s and being like, yo, like I have to stop this. And really trying to think about things differently. Honestly, was like the best move ever, The best move ever. I don't want to go back to that. Here's one thing that I'll say. I'm not judging people that cheat. I can't. That was a part of my life. But life will be so much easier if you weren't doing that. You look at it and you be like, yo, I got the best of both, whatever. You like whoever is on the side for certain reasons. You care about who you're with because obviously if you didn't, you would just leave them alone and fuck with whoever else. So you're tied to that person more. But honestly, trying to keep up with the lies, sneaking out, that stuff gets stressful. It gets old. And back to it, that's why I'm happy I made those decisions at a younger age. And I'm not in my 30s sitting here chasing that and trying to do all those same things. Life is all about experiences. Life is about growth. Life is about finding yourself and trying to be the best version of yourself. And we're all still going through it. If you're living right now, you're going through it. It's a dude in prison right now. Not just a dude, but multiple people in prison right now trying to better themselves. If they're locked in there and they're trying to better themselves, you can be out here free trying to better yourself. This conversation was crazy, man. A lot of shit that I said in this podcast episode, I wasn't even expecting to say. You know, a lot of stuff was just crazy, and it made me think about like how I was living back then. And just me even saying like how I was living, if I were to say that to somebody, they'd probably be thinking like I was living like crazy. It was crazy for me, definitely. But if I were to tell somebody that, like went into detail, they'd probably be like, oh, you was wild, but you know, you wasn't out here killing niggas, robbing people and doing, you know, really crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, these are the changes that I needed to make. To live better, to live happier, to live more, you know, not stressed. And you know what's funny? In that moment, doing all that stuff, the only times I ever really felt stressed about it like that were the moments where I got caught up. Other than that, I was just like, yo, I'm having fun. And then it got to a point where I'm like, yo, this shit is old. Yo, I got to keep up with this lie. Crazy stuff, man. You live and you learn. You get older and you become a better person. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm really just sitting here thinking about everything, man. If you guys want to let me know if you guys have had crazy experiences, if you guys have had to make any changes, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcast, then you guys already know you can check out the description section and all of my social stuff is there. You can check all of that out. If you guys are listening to the uploaded video that is posted on YouTube, all of the information is down below. Everywhere else, man, you know, hit me up on Instagram at It's King KD. Follow my Facebook page, Who Is KD. I don't really use Twitter as much anymore, but you can even go to my Twitter, who_is_KD, 2 underscores. And yeah, man, I would love to know what you guys have been through or the changes you've had to make. And I knew it could get to this point. That's why I was like, yo, it would be so good to have Cheryl on this episode. It's so interesting having this deep dive conversation because like really one thing that really has you in your moments is thinking about life, going back and thinking about life and being like, all right, I see who I was back then, and being able to be honest with yourself of who you were back then and being proud of the changes that you made. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, man. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more. Follow the podcast on everything, whatever you're listening to, follow it so you can be notified of new episodes. You guys have been dope. Thanks. Peace.